Okay, so I'm going to show you how to start your weaving today. The first thing is you want to make sure that you're on the right side of the board. So the side that you put your tape on and wrote your name and where you start and you stop, this is the back of the board. If you try weaving on this side, it will get all messed up because some of these strings don't go all the way down. So you want to make sure that you're on the correct side first. And if you have a template or a stencil, it will be slid under all of the strings, under the warp strings. So the first step to starting your weaving is to take 2 of the crappy pencils, which would be the School Smart, not the Ticonderoga. Those are the good ones. And we are going to give ourselves a little lift to help us weave. So I'm kind of just bending the board and sliding under a pencil right here. And I'm going to slide one at the top. To lift our strings off the board just a tad. Okay, next step. You're gonna get a ruler or one of these pieces of wood and you're actually going to weave it into your weaving. And this will help you tremendously because technically you'll only have to weave in one direction instead of 2. So when we're weaving, we always wanna make sure we're going over, under, over, under. It really doesn't matter if you start over, under, as long as you're alternating and you do not miss a warp string. If you miss one on this section, your whole weaving will get thrown off. So you can see that I just wove this piece of wood here in. I'm just going to push this up to the top now. Okay, so the basic weave, you're going to tie about 2 arms length worth of your first color onto a needle. And if you're right-handed, you're going to start on the right side. If you're left-handed, start over here on the left side, actually weaving in. So what I need to do now is I need to weave opposite of what I wove the ruler in. So you can see that I went over on this first warp string here. So with my needle, I want to go under. So I'm going to go under, and you can kind of move this out of your way. Under, over. All the way down. You may need to kind of go like halfway and then continue the over under pattern. You're going to pull this yarn, your weft string, all the way through and just leave a little tail over here. Then you kind of want to push your string down to your pencil here so it's nice and straight. Okay, so we have 1 row woven in. When we're going the opposite direction, so our non-dominant hand, I'm right-handed, so now I'm using my left hand, I'm just gonna flip up my piece of wood and I can send my needle right through the center of the strings and it automatically weaves it in for us, going opposite of the row underneath it. Then I can flip my ruler down and I can push it down and it should be opposite. So everywhere on the first row that I went under should be over on the second row. Over on the first row, under on the second row. What's really important is that when you come and look over here, I'm not pulling this super tight because if I pull it super tight, I'll start getting an hourglass shape, kind of like this sample here. You can see how it was pulled too tight. Right in this area and makes an hourglass, so we want to avoid that. Okay, so then when you're weaving back in your dominant hand's direction, so I'm using my right hand now, I'm just going to weave. So I'm going to go under, over, under, over, under, over. And I can make it about halfway, or I have to pull a little bit. Keep on going. Oops. And so you can see I started to pull this too tight, so it was bending my warp string here. So you just pull it back out with your finger a little bit. Make sure it's not too tight. Slide your ruler down and make sure it's nice and solid in there. Okay, then when I go back, I will just be lifting up my ruler because this is my non-dominant direction, so I can lift my ruler, send it right through the middle of the strings, and weave it in. Okay. Now, if on your pattern, say you have a little row of black and then your black maybe comes across at an angle, all you would do is just go to where the black stops. Maybe I'm only going to come to here. And just weave in that section right now. So I'm just coming in this little tiny area. And I can go back and forth and just kind of fill in this. When it comes time to adding our color into this section, we do have to loop in onto this warp string, and I'll just kind of help everybody individually with that because it will be different for each person. So you can see now I'm just kind of making a section of black over on this side. The next one. Okay. All right, so this is the basic weaving stitch. You researched a couple more. We have this little fringe tassel we can do here, which is cute. We have, you know, more of a fringe, and this is just basically tying on two pieces of yarn together to make the fringe. But I do want to show you this tassel. So here is on the big board, some pretty tassels down here at the bottom. You can do these tassels anywhere in your weaving. I'm choosing just to do them at the bottom. So what I did is I'm taking 8 pieces of yarn together. So I'm just 4, 5, 6. I'm just using it off the ball of yarn and twisting it till I get about 8 pieces. Okay. Okay, so to do these little tassels, what you do is lay it. So these are the 2 strings right here that I'm using to create my tassel. I lay it on my tassel right in the center of my piece of yarn or pieces of yarn. And then I pull this piece through like that. Pull this piece through and under. And then kind of pull it down. And you have a pretty knot to create a tassel. Okay. So again, I just gather up some yarn, how many ever pieces thick you want it. Lay it in the middle on your 2 pieces that you're doing, and then come underneath. Underneath. Just kind of pull it down. Make sure the knot's pretty. You don't want these to squish together again, but just make sure it lays nice and flat. So you researched a bunch of other stitches. I'll be happy to work through those with you because there's a bunch. So I'm not going to go through all of them on this video, but I wanted to get the basic, the tassel, and you can do some fringe too. We can work anything out. At the end of class, just make sure you wrap up your yarn around your board, kind of weave your needle in, and you can leave in the wooden sticks and the pencils so that tomorrow when you come in, you can just start weaving again.